One of the arguments that's made in kind of green philosophy is that it's not so much a Darwinian aspect, which leads to the reduction of global species, as a new kind of trans-Darwinian tendency which humans have affected. We can see humans as part of a Darwinian framework, as survival of the fittest, but they're also kind of a power over and above that. In terms of music, one of the things I often think about is the parallels to my own work as a kind of green, kind of low-scale green activist. If we take the example, just choose something that seems very different from music, so let's take macadamias, for example. If you think about it superficially, there'd be few people here who would worry about the plight of the macadamia tree. We know that the nuts are commonly available, the product is kind of grown in Hawaii and Australia, and you would think that it's a kind of a healthy form. In fact, the macadamia tree we know is a hybrid of an indigenous tree to northern New South Wales and southern Queensland. The hybrid was so successful that it was the one that was cultivated. The original trees are now down to 4 subspecies, of which there's only 10 examples left of some trees. Up until a few years ago, no one cared about that, outside of kind of green concerns. But suddenly, in the industry, it became realised that if something happened to macadamias, the equivalent of Dutch elm disease happened to elms, then the global industry would be damaged. And so suddenly there's an awareness of the importance of maintaining those subspecies, and there's now a kind of grow back campaign on those. Now, the reasons I planted indigenous macadamias in the area where I live is not to sustain the global macadamia industry, but it's a sense of ethics of what we do to the planet, and a small act of reconciliation against the changes we've brought ecologically to Australia. I think if you take that sensibility and think about it globally with regards to the musics of the world, then we have a kind of a ground and an ethics to proceed. Now, obviously the green metaphor only goes so far. Music is not like plants or animals in a couple of senses. One of which is we can reproduce the sounds of music, if not the circumstances of music, at later stages. We can digitally record it, we can imitate and relearn the techniques. We can't as yet imitate and relearn a DNA sequence of a disappeared variety. There's another sense as well in that we can restore the habitat for endangered vegetation or animals. Restoring the habitat of the original habitat of a music is very difficult because society changes. But what we can do is we can actually set the framework whereby things can grow back. There's a big kind of tendency in green reforestation to believe and support that if you create the environments, the indigenous soil bank will come back, there will be a grow back of plants. If you can recreate aspects of the social and cultural value of music practices, you can actually get the communities who previously supported those to invest a new sense of value which has been undermined by globalism. So my sense of sustainability in music cultures is one in which the ethnomusicologist, or maybe you need a new label for those people, is actually involved in heritage consciousness raising, knowledge of how you facilitate development, knowledge of international copyright aspects, of markets, of ethics, that whole gamut. So instead of going in with finely honed sympathies, empathies, observational skills, we go in hopefully with those and a whole set of enabling attributes, abilities and agendas.